Okay, this is passage two, twist ending in a classic tale. So Saki is a pen name of the British writer Hector Hughes Munro. He's also known as H. Munro, and he wrote The Open Door. In that story, which is possibly his most famous story, social conventions and proper etiquette provide cover for a mischievous teenager, the niece, to wreak havoc on the nerves of an unsuspecting guest, which is Frampton Nuttall. So Frampton Nuttall, seeking a nerve cure prescribed by his doctor, visits an area where he knows no one. His sister provides letters of introduction so he can meet people there. He pays a visit to Mrs. Stapleton. While he waits for her 15-year-old niece keeps him company in the park. When she realizes Nuttall has never met her aunt and knows nothing about her, she explains that it had been 3 years since Mrs. Stapleton's great tragedy, when her husband and brothers were hunting and never returned, presumably engulfed by a bog, which is similar to sinking in quicksand. Mrs. Stapleton keeps the large French windows open every day, hoping for their return. When Mrs. Stapleton appeared, she is inattentive to Nuttall, ta- talking instead about her husband's hunting trips and how she expects him home any minute. Her delusional manner and constant glancing at the windows makes Nuttall uneasy. Then the hunters appear in the distance, and Nuttall, horrified, grabs his walking stick and exits abruptly. When the Stapletons exclaim over his sudden rude departure, the niece calmly explains that he was probably frightened by the hunter's dog. She claims that Nuttall told her he was once chased into a cemetery in India and held at bay by a pack of aggressive dogs. So that's the summary of the plot. Now we're going to dive deep into really what the story kind of meant and the interpretation. So social conventions provided cover for mischief by the niece. Okay, so I'm on paragraph 5, if you're following along. So the niece uses social decorum very much to her favor. First, she presents herself in an inconsequential, telling Nuttall that her aunt will be down soon. But in the meantime, you must put up with me. It's meant to sound like a self efficacy pleasantry, suggesting that she isn't particularly interested or entertaining and provides a perfect cover for her mischief. Her next question to Nuttall sounds like boring small talk. She asks whether he knows anyone in the area and whether he knows anything about her aunt. But as the reader eventually understands, these questions are just reconnaissance to see whether Nuttall will make a suitable target for a fabricated story. Smooth storytelling. So, explaining more about how the niece is good at storytelling. The niece's prank is impressively underhanded and hurtful. She takes ordinary events of the day and deftly just transforms them into a ghost story. She includes all the details needed to create a sense of realism: the open window, the brown spaniel, their white coat, even the mud of the supposed bog. Seen through the ghostly lens of tragedy, all the ordinary details, including the aunt's comments and behaviors, take an eerie tone. Paragraph 8. The reader understands that the niece won't get caught in her lies because she's clearly mastered a lying lifestyle. She immediately puts Stapleton's confusion to rest with her explanation about Nuttall's fear of dogs. Her calm manner, detached tone, enough to make anyone lose his nerves, add an airy plausibility to her outrageous tale. The duped reader, how you are tricked. One of the most engaging aspects of this story is that the reader is initially duped too. Just like Nuttall, the reader has no reason to disbelieve the niece's cover story, and that she's just demure, polite girl making conversation. Like Nuttall, the reader is surprised and chilled when the hunting party shows up. But unlike Nuttall, the reader finally learns the truth of the situation and enjoys Mrs. Stapleton's amusing, ironic observation. One would think he had seen ghosts. Finally, the reader experiences the niece's calm, detached explanation. By the time she says, "He told me he had a horror of dogs," the reader understands the real sensation here is not a ghost story, but rather a girl who effortlessly springs sinister stories. Actually, this should be stories here. And that is the end of this passage, and you can continue taking the test.